Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
On today's episode of Everyday People, Aunt Ekia will be sharing her life challenges. Come with me, let's go and listen to her story. Please, how is business going?
Oh, I don't have to say business is booming. No. Every day, no 20 Ghana, you be fa ko. And opani afaba. Ba betena se won she. Na me so ya ball 5 na ma sorry. Na me kofi. Bi wo me ba asi so klo. Wo go to ade na wo de ba wo bo price na ye say anya nra ye na me bisa bo. Nipa na ko. Oh, ti business ne de. E se nya me pe. Na me pe. Wo ba so na wo nya adwuma de a. Me so me ti o me kunu yare wanya stroke nti eno na me de ye kakra na me de hwe me ba o wie last year 20 September no wie nti kakra at least wo pon wo de 10 cedi bi ato baby na de ba wo si wo ko bobi si ana bibi de na de bia police be ba cho nti kakra na ye no me de kwansisie na me de paper so si nti business ndi enko but ye nyame pe na de ye oni ye ba
na patch intended ye sales bi amba ya na say it's very
na me ti won na maba no you know ube didi kwa mpo a say ocho bi to ade a na wo de akoto aduane nti me nka say wo tan asesa na ye obi to bibia wo twen keke fita no pa me buy this is the second water me no because you to ade obe de didi in the first place nti business ne dey
na patch how many years me now started business
like I say almost 8 years 8 to 9 years.
Were you into something before this one?
Yeah. Na me ton asuma de chain na de nsoma me de free any perfumes but me benya ha no na me hwe me survey area no na me ho say no tanya man de say me sisa na me sisa to nti we na ekọ kwala pampers nko aye distract ye 20 eno de meka say
earrings ni na enhye da nkosa
no bi ato bi na say ya o ya da samba sa o ma na nkuni de otete de edi ya ne tirimo akeneke obeba nti cotton board glass cleaner tissue na de obeba handkerchief enu mu na ekọ fast to be to handkerchief na yira obesa babi meti enu mu na ekọ
nti say if you no crampo no so obi your business you have to consider all this. Say be there now is it an everyday thing or they are your friend is saying idea be front time back on any money. So your business you have to consider all this as
yeah, you have to read between the line. And yes, I story about because your business and idea. Oh, say we share idea help. But maintenance ya perfume need to me share no 1 year repair phones so almost per rubber tie. Nti enu sa me ko fa best 10 bar endu a week na yato enu manya 33 cedi wo each pack echi na yato na cotton board glass cleaner tissue handkerchief tea roll any rubber bag because you ton phones wa nti obi to obi a o si for manu ato nti ende e content
na man pacha uni no now like you had a vision that maybe I uni aba be any particular but because of something it went to me.
Oh yes, in particular I always pray say member yebi but ultimately kase now not just one day wa be any particular you have to start somewhere. Some kase me kunya stroke you be say na me dem nya no ma tran crofo che me tran enumbo so me go school enumbo so asukuma me go school ayi ma kwajo mo peki frankadua simpogu Japan ni na ya kwa marketing nti yetimi ko tran je beni so na no ye to fish nkofo beba later na ya to amomu so for buy and sell to get something small there me timi kase me tran o me nya bibia ebe ma wa ye old ntem yeah we are younger now nya hwia we say untimi dress untimi ye on fine every day no bibia ye basa ba me 60 years so many young girls now say on to be challenge me in any way forget about say me table like who they invite me me I'm telling you if you are
now person o ye dey uni na person
na mission at 3 bonso but 3 bon nyama bebre wo mu I remember say ye bo biti and a senior apprentice no or try any scissors the next senior apprentice na am be juma I have to go there and look for her because you see the na ko Beni say there na ye no mo si o wa hu say nti omo ko na e kire ne say maame na o twa ne ti no o ambisa permission free maame no ne ti nwi no anya tire nwi a it was there na me jaye tam mi ankasa me pese me biem salon na dia ma register kwa me no August grace yin certificate ne da ho a menya shop bia me started training ba maame bo ho but na say am me benyin na me say I don't have to be afraid if only you have God. One I want me osoro bibi nti kakra me nya shop a and there me nje mu cry me nje mu me gusu pressing on me no say nya me so be me adom na bibia be fa
man pa choko school during fa
secondary school you know titi me
and to university
man to aso asem na heading me papa you know worry 5 na me na first manyinti me na me first but me go bisam ma me say back to school so o see ondo oni bi me go bisam papa nti ma me nya hatred me ma me papa but later owu ye na me say no I've made a mistake o see oni bi no oja ye ma hu business mu kakra me so obi ntimi nsisi me o ti ase nti ye na ye ntimi na 8 e man kwa 6 be ma ba ko nti obi an kasa na o fight ko see ya nya kwan an kwa university that doesn't mean say we are useless or hopeless nkofo bebre anko university, but they always make it. So we are kwadro a na obeka say na no. Ma utri mema 2 oba baako bema baako na aka one boy one girl. Omo nyina omo go secondary school, but they are working all right. Omo anko university, but they are working. They give me money if I need it. So I need happy ending.
Nyama we are watching, including earrings. No, have you make something out of maybe unya skebi the seed, be an answer unya skebi the year something good for yourself?
Oh, me mami ato asase dada. One can't sure it was later na ehun but my BBS is my track on wall na there. But me mami no wu yo o amasama. Do blog gono. Nti ya yo ko hwe na there. Machiri bakra wo America. If you are your call, maybe I do a crack or man, maybe next week in my question. If you want me a baby day, sir, will be better because this is one who fear why I say. Minya can be Bano University, which I say. But I'm going to say, Nibia, Mammy, worry me. Yeah. It's like university, no, and the whole world almost feel say one qua you are nobody.
That should be the case.
No. It shouldn't be the case. If I get shocked, because they say when no qua or be worry, say me shop and I be I feel I'm no beba. Na me so I can help because I love children. Obi buamia fine, obi ambuamia fine because me did so much say sometimes me nibia me nim baby buba ho no bia oh matter we dey fancy san nyamasa na madana say waye bia ma obi wo ho a oni support the baby and no need to support the better as say wa hira me ne we nyina. Why do I worry myself?
We just heard the story of Aunt Ekuya. Stay tuned for another episode. This is Diaba Eugenia reporting for GhanaWeb TV.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@GhanaWeb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Hello, this is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to talk about the disease progression of breast cancer. We will be doing an introduction into what disease progression is and its important. Disease progression describes how any condition starts from one end and becomes complicated or spreads and can cause other things. This is similar to how a child, for example, goes from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, class 4, and so on. The importance of understanding the progression of breast cancer is that it helps us to know what are the treatment options, when can we use certain treatment options, and then what are the types of tests that we require at the different stages of breast cancer. Join us again as we go into detail about the disease progression on our next episode. Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today on your breast tips, we are going to continue our talk on the disease progression of breast cancer. Breast cancer goes through 3 identifiable disease stages. The first one is the localized breast cancer. Then we have the locally invasive breast cancer. And finally, the metastatic breast cancer. Today, we will talk about the first 2. Localized breast cancer is that breast cancer in which the breast cancer cells are restricted, they are limited to the tissue from which they arise. This means that it's often difficult at this stage to even feel that there is a cancer going on, but this is the easiest stage to deal with. Next is the locally invasive breast cancer. At this stage, the cancer cells begin to move out of the tissue they started through what is known as lymph vessels. Lymph vessels occur all over the body, and when the cancer cells begin to spread, they travel through these lymph vessels and enter what is called lymph nodes. The closest lymph nodes to the breast are in the axilla, also known as the armpit, and then along the sternum. Next time, we will talk about the metastatic breast cancer stage. Join us then. Thank you.
So it's continuous. You don't end the preparation for a good marriage after the ceremony where you are declared a husband and wife. No, more work goes into it because every day there will be surprises.
Divorce is a complex and emotionally charged process that often involves legal battles over various issues, including family law and custody arrangements. As relationships break down, individuals must find legal considerations, from property division to child custody agreements. Understanding the intricacies of family law and custody battles is crucial for those going through divorce and for legal professionals tasked with resolving these disputes. In this discussion, we will delve into the complexities of divorce, exploring the challenges faced by individuals and families as they navigate the legal landscape of ending a marriage. This is Legal Agenda, and my name is Matilda Boate-Nati. I have with me here a private legal practitioner, lawyer, Sena Hotel, to help me with this important discussion, and Reverend Kato from SEM. He is the resident pastor at SEM. Gentlemen, you are welcome to Legal Agenda.
Thank you.
So I will start with lawyer. Lawyer, are there any legal requirements for one to follow before you can really say that a marriage is over? Because after the fanfare, after all the things that accompanies the celebration of marriage, are there any requirement for anyone to follow before they can say that this marriage is over? Because I don't know whether it's becoming a trend. After 1 year, after 6 months, people just decide, I can't do with this marriage anymore. I'm quitting. I'm getting out. Are there any legal requirement for one to follow? Because when you are celebrating the marriage, we spoke about it in our previous episode that there are requirements for one to follow. So when it comes to divorce too, are there any requirement for one to follow?
Thank you, Matilda, and thanks for having me back on your show. It's always a pleasure to be able to shed some lights on legal topics that are beneficial to your viewers and then the entire nation and the globe as a whole. Yes, to the topic, every good thing and happy thing has some form of an end. And divorce or marriage is no exception. All marriages come to an end at a point, whether it's a happy marriage or a not so happy marriage. It either comes to an end naturally by death or induced by the parties involved. And one of such processes of inducing the determination or termination of a marriage is through divorce. And yes, once you have gone through a legal process to create something like marriage, if you want to dissolve it in what we call divorce, in a process called divorce, you have to go through a process prescribed by law.
Okay.
And that process prescribed by law for dissolving a marriage applies to all the forms or types of marriages.
Okay.
Usually people think that I can only get a divorce for church marriage or the one that I go to court to sign for.
Yes.
But no, you can get a court divorce process for even your customary marriages.
Right.
What we call traditional marriage. When you do just that alone, and then for some reason you do not want to continue again, or both parties have concluded that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation and that they should be allowed to go their separate way, the law prescribes a channel and an approach for you to do that.
Okay.
By going through that process and channel, you get the opportunity not only to talk about or obtain the remedy of dissolution of that marriage, but you also get the opportunity to discuss issues like custody of the children or child. Who gets to keep the child? Who gets visitation rights? Who doesn't? And so on and so forth. You also get the opportunity to discuss matters of matters in relation to who pays the legal fees for the whole proceedings. You also get the opportunity to discuss matters like compensation. You know, the law prescribes a situation or a scenario where if you've been with a person and then you have met certain requirements over a period of time which has crystallized, when the marriage breaks down, it doesn't apply to everybody anyway, but if the marriage breaks down, you'll be entitled to walk away with something. And mind you, it doesn't apply to only the female.
Okay.
It applies also to the male.
Okay.
Yes, and you also get the opportunity to talk about property and discuss who gets what at the end of the day, who takes what home. And so it's a holistic approach to dissolving a matter. Okay. And for that matter, there are a number of laws. It's not just one. There are a number of laws from the 1992 Constitution, from the Marriages Act, even the Children's Act.
Okay.
You know, all of that come together to help prescribe a mode for dissolving marriages in Ghana.
Okay, so specifically, we want to know what are some of the things the court will look out for before they can agree to the dissolution of marriage.
Okay, so the court looks at just one thing.
Okay.
Contrary to what people think, you can write all what you want to write, you can speak all what the flowery language or whatever you want to speak in court. Yeah. But the court is only concerned with just one thing.
Okay.
Because the court is not in a hurry or in the business of dissolving people's marriages.
Okay.
The court didn't put you together. And for the Christians who believe in the Adam and Eve story, even when a problem arose, one party pointed the other. So there's this joke that we say that these days, nobody looks for a spouse for another. And so the court is not in a hurry to dissolve, to even grant it. And so there are circumstances where the court will even, recommend or prescribe that you go for mandatory counseling.
Okay.
Because the sole ground for breaking or dissolving a marriage is that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. The key word is beyond reconciliation.
Okay.
And there are about 6 facts in law that can be used to establish or prove that a marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. Okay. So all what you describe can be fit under these 6 facts that can be used to explain that a marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. The one of the first ones, which I believe and have said on several platforms, is one of the leading causes of dissolution of marriages or divorces in Ghana is adultery. And so when you look at the cases, and without any empirical data, as I always say, if you look at the cases that come before you, and on a good day, if you look at the number of cases that are filed at the divorce matrimonial courts, you would realize that majority of them, at least more than 70% of them, are grounded on adultery. So they may have adultery and other things in there, or adultery solely as the reason. And so I would run through the 6, and if we have time, we'll delve into the nitty-gritties as to what the court will look out for. So for example, if you come to court and you say your husband or your wife has committed adultery, what does it mean? What does the court look at? Are there timelines within which the court will say that yes, your spouse may have committed adultery, but the time has lapsed for you to bring the application based on adultery because you've stayed with them beyond 6 months where it is considered that you have reconciled. Okay, so one, adultery. The other one is unreasonable behavior.
Okay.
So there are certain behaviors that a party within a marriage exhibits that one other person, one of them, finds it intolerable to be able to live with a person anymore. And so a behavior can constitute unreasonable behavior. But once the other person doesn't find it intolerable, then you cannot rely on that to tell the court that a marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. Because, yes, what you consider, your tolerance level may be different to my tolerance level. And no 2 marriages are the same. So what you would consider intolerable in your marriage, another person finds it tolerable. And so it's not things that are cast in stone. It borders on what the party finds as intolerable. And there is a concept in law that says that we are not concerned, the law is not concerned about de minimis issues, things that are so infinitesimal, things that are so small and trivial, that are the everyday incidents of marriage. So those things are not what we consider to say that, it's an unreasonable behavior, but things that are weighty in law. So that's a snapshot of unreasonable behavior. And behavior is considered unreasonable. And then we also have separation. So if you separate from your partner for 5 years, then we say that if you've been away from your partner for 5 years, I mean, Reverend, what are you trying to put across? So the law says that if you can use that, if you find that behavior intolerable, then you can use that as a grounds to approach the court, the Temple of Justice, and tell them that, look, my partner has left me. For the last 5 years, we have not lived together as man and wife. And when I say man and wife, it includes performing conjugal duties and other things that constitute the whole marriage scenario. And so that's about that for separation for 5 years. There are other details which, if time permits, we'll discuss. And then there is also separation for 2 years. So the difference here between 2 and 5 is that for separation for 2 years, if you bring an action for separation for 2 years, you must get the consent of the other party to say that, yes, I have left. I have, left the matrimonial home on my own without the consent of the other partner, and that I am not coming back. So they've signed, and then that's it. But for 5 years, you don't need to sign. You don't need any consent from. Yes, if you've gone away for 5 years, then you don't intend to come back. I don't even need you. I may not even know where you are to look for you to sign or consent. But remember that the issue of consent in the 2 year situation or the scenario, is that you cannot unreasonably withhold that consent. So you cannot say that, yeah, I'm gone, but I won't sign, so that he can sit there for 5 years.
So you mentioned, you are not done, right? You mentioned 4 points.
Exactly.
We have 6.
Yes.
But I want to touch on the unreasonable behavior. Unreasonable behavior has been defined as a conduct that gives rise to injury to life, limb, or health, or conduct that gives rise to a reasonable apprehension of such danger. Reverend, you have so many situations where, especially the women, they come to their church, their pastors, that this is what my husband is doing to me, this is what my partner is doing to me. Sometimes it's not even about the physical touch, but sometimes it's about the emotional drain that the person will be going through. And they come to the church, and the pastor is like, no, you cannot go through that, you cannot divorce. Divorce is a sin. Comparing that or linking that to the legal requirements, we want to know how the church comes in with regards to divorce. When a church member comes to report that they are going through this issue, an unreasonable behavior from their spouses, because we've had a number of cases where a lot of people have lost their lives because of unreasonable behavior, not just adultery, but the unreasonable behavior of their partners. And they come and their pastors are like, this is nothing. Your husband is not committing adultery, or your partner is not committing adultery, so why do you want to leave the marriage? Let's see a way of solving it. How should the church handle such situations?
Thank you very much, madam. My church, my bishop will tell you, you shouldn't die. So anything that can take your life, you run for your life. So like the unreasonable behavior, if it is abusive, if it is something that is eating you up, affecting your health, that can lead to death, we advise you find a way out. So, fine. When you come, we will not immediately tell you to go and pack your bag and baggages and leave. Because the church is there. One of the things, cardinal things the church deals with is repentance. Turning around, recognizing your wrong, and working to make it right. So when you come and you bring such issues, it's our duty to invite your spouse. And mind you, we are not only looking at the woman. We are looking at both. Because sometimes the problem is the woman. The woman is also tormenting the man's life with an unreasonable behavior.
Lawyer will tell us that he has been handling such cases.
So we will invite the other partner and engage. You know, some people with some counseling, with some help to stop, they do. So we will start on that footing by trying to engage. But when we see one has purposed not to turn around, not to stop, but their agenda.
Reverend, what do you mean by when you see? After how many slaps?
Oh, it's not about slaps. You know, when as a church or as men of God, if you engage the person, you don't need more than 2 meetings to know this person is determined to do something. Some people want the partner out, but because they don't want to be the ones to initiate it, so they are just tormenting you. When you get fed up, you opt out, so they don't owe any obligation or any compensation or whatever it is. So when you meet the person, by the second meeting, you will know. You will know that this person is deliberately doing this just to get the other person frustrated, and then they pack and leave. So we will get on that footing through counseling. Some people too is out of ignorance, is out of wrong influence. Like maybe somebody now have started drinking, humanizing, close from work, will not come home early, doesn't pay the children's school fees, doesn't take care of utilities, has left everything to the other partner to do. It may come out of wrong influence. They may be doing wrong and not knowing it is wrong because there is a voice that is negatively impacting their life. They didn't used to be like that. Now they've gotten involved with a friend from work. Is, oh, let's go and sit somewhere, let's get a glass of beer and take the glass of beer. The friend invites other friends of the opposite sex. They come through conversation. Now some ungodly relationships now ensued, and then it leads to that. Some of them, when you engage them, they come back to themselves and realize that no, they're on the wrong path.
Okay, but lawyer mentioned that divorce, adultery is also one cause of.
Yes, for that one, that is what the Bible prescribes.
Mostly, yes, but the situation is different. People bring adultery cases to pastors, especially the men. And with this influx of side chick now becoming normal in Ghana, when people bring issues like that, how does the church handle that?
Side chick is not normal with the church. Bible prohibits it.
So would you allow your church member to go ahead with the divorce proceedings?
Okay.
So that their partners have committed adultery.
It still comes back to what I said. There are people who have gotten themselves into this side chick issue based on peer pressure, negative influence. You draw the attention to it, they turn around. But if after you've engaged them, they still continue with it, then you should know. There's a story I heard where a man was misbehaving, getting himself in this side chick issue, extramarital affairs, and comes to the wife and tells the wife, so can't you see I'm misbehaving? Can't you see I have a lot of girlfriends? Won't you say something and maybe possibly pack your bag and leave? And the wife said, I've chosen not to see it.
Okay.
Once you go and you return, you know you have a family. You come back to your family. It only means that we are the priority in your life. They have just decided to misbehave. So you think I should see. I've also chosen not to see. So you see, the man wanted the woman to stand on something to opt out so he can continue to misbehave. Or he can have his way for some reason best known to himself. Yes. But the woman also chose
not to see
that because you want this, I won't give it to you.
Okay.
You understand? It is your time, it is your money. You go spend it. But for me to grant you divorce, so the property we have acquired together, you benefit from it and still go and use it to misbehave. I have chosen not to see it. So we don't condone the church. That is the last thing we will do. Side chick, side guy, whatever it is, we don't condone. The Bible, from the beginning, Jesus said in Matthew 19 that divorce was not an option. God's intention for marriage was for a lifetime, till death do you part. So he said the man will leave his father and mother and be joined to the woman, and they both will be one flesh, one focus, one vision, one dream, one purpose. They fight for one thing. Anybody that tries to come in is an enemy to both. Yes, but because of the hardness of man's heart, Moses granted that. Then it should only be because of adultery or fornication. When one person goes out of wedlock to do other things, then it is granted. So once Bible has prescribed that, we stand for it. Yes, but like what you are saying, in our day and time, they may not commit adultery, but they are doing other things that is eating you up. Why die? No. You can't die and let the person still continue with what they want to do. Don't die. Anything that will take your life, destroy your life, it is not of God. Please, you can come out.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll go for a very short break and we'll come back. When we come back, we are going to allow lawyer to give us the other 2 points, which will help anyone going through divorce processes to have his marriage dissolved. Then also we will discuss custody of children when the divorce actually occurs or there is a dissolution of marriage. How the children handled by the courts, and if properties have also been acquired, how are the properties shared between the couple? We'll be right back.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment. Wow. Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes, deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat. Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy.
Oh, McBerry Twist cupcakes, simply irresistible. Try one today. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back from the break. We've been discussing divorce and custody of children, and we have lawyer Sena Hoto, a private legal practitioner. We have Reverend Kato from SEM, who is helping us to discuss this very important topic. Before we went on break, lawyer, you mentioned 4 points. You mentioned that we have 6 requirements for one's marriage to be dissolved by the courts, and you gave us 4 points. Can you add the other 2? Then we move to custody of children and how property should be shared among the couple.
Okay. So we have the 2 other ones, which are what in law we call desertion.
Okay.
I think it has the very basic English definition of desertion as it is, except that it also has some legal requirements that you need to meet to be able to say that a person has deserted the marriage. So when you pack up your stuff and then you leave a marriage and without the consent of your partner, then you would have said to have deserted. But there are also situations where the man and the woman are living in the same house, but one person has packed up all his things and moved to another room, and another is staying in the other room. This one doesn't cook for the other person. This one doesn't cook also for the other person, because I believe cooking should be mutual anyway. So, and
the typical African man will not be happy with this point.
Well, once you can fry egg, you meet the requirement. Yes, and then, you know, so you may not have moved out physically, but then you have moved out emotionally, and then you have moved out, you know, physically of a sort as well. And so we can, if that occurs for a period of time, we can also say that you have deserted. Then there is that situation where you want to sack your spouse from the house.
Okay.
But you don't want people to say you are the one who did it.
You are the bad one.
You're the bad one. So you put them through a very nasty situation, and then one afternoon or evening you come back from work and he or she has packed everything else and left. And you end up going to say, like we say in Ghana, I didn't do anything. He just packed up his stuff and left. There is the concept of constructive desertion. So the law will presume that it is you rather that has left and not him or her.
Okay.
Because your acts are mounted to inducing that person to leave for your own benefit. So that is the desertion. And finally, we have what we call inability to reconcile differences.
Okay.
So there are situations where there's an issue between the parties, and then they find that both of them have different concept about it. They cannot reconcile. Let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
So, you know, in modern times, people go into marriage and then they are not interested in having kids, especially, well, I don't want to tag a gender, but either the male or the female, it goes like, oh, I have my supermodel body and I don't think I want to destroy my shape, or I don't want to breastfeed and then, you know, look some way, or I'm not ready for responsibilities. But they don't have those conversations before the marriage. And then fast forward, you know, there is a marriage and one party is expecting that we have kids. The other person says,
I'm not ready.
No, I thought we had this conversation. I've had a horrible, sometimes it's not even about the physique. Sometimes it's about past experiences.
Okay.
How they may have lost a parent and someone else maltreated them.
Okay.
And so they feel like they don't want to
let their children go through this.
Have any other person come to this life, and they may pass on and someone will treat them that way. And so that, you know, in and on itself is an issue that both of the parties cannot, you know, agree on.
Okay.
So it's not so much about, you know, he cooks banku, I don't like banku, and we can't agree on the size of the rice and all of that. That's not what we mean when we talk about inability to reconcile. These are very serious, weighty matters, like that of childbirth, like the one of one party. They've all lived in, say, New York for a long time, and one party feels like, look, you know what, I'm Ghanaian. I want to come back home. I don't want to stay abroad till I am 99. And they'll put me in some old age, you know, facility. I want to come home. The other person says, look,
I can't stay here.
Menye free Ghana chromo hey. You know, it
back.
literally means that once I've left with my kid, I'm not coming back. So that is an issue that both parties cannot agree on. And that issue has a potential of tearing the marriage apart. And we don't want you having a marriage that looks like a marriage but isn't a marriage in terms of what a marriage should be. And so one person wants to stay here, one person wants, we can't agree on it. So there shouldn't have been a desertion, there shouldn't have been an adultery, there shouldn't have been. And so the concept where divorce should always be acrimonious, it should always be a fight, I think it's one that is gradually phasing out with a new concept of consent divorce, where parties can agree and say that, look, this is not working. And the court cannot force one person to remain, can't force two parties to remain in a marriage. Once one person is gone, mentally, physically, and emotionally, the marriage is as good as destroyed or broken down. So once that has happened, let's sit down. Let's agree on it. I'm gone or you're gone. Let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about the properties. What do you want? Do you want the Trosako house? Take it. Do you want this one? Take it. I'll keep this one. The kids, I'll keep this child. So there are rules around what the court would allow when it comes to custody, which we will discuss. But the parties have the liberty to decide how they want to run or take care of their children. And so if you say that, okay, I'll give the children to my husband to take care of. That's between the two of you. But if you allow the court to make that decision, the court will not give it to the man.
Okay.
Which when we get there, we'll discuss, more about. So that's a summary of what the grounds that you can use to establish that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. Because that's the only requirement that is known to Ghanaian law for dissolving a marriage.
Okay. So, listening to the 6 grounds that you've mentioned, meaning that the courts don't even fancy granting divorce to couples. Is the church, Reverend, is the church doing enough? Because now the rate at which people marry is the same rate at which people divorce. What is the church doing about it? Is the church doing enough to stop divorce and all these things happening?
The church is doing what we can do. That's why even at the moment where all are invited to witness your marriage, we still go ahead to get your last consent. The preambles or whatever, the statement preceding the exchange of vows, we read and then we ask you, do you still want to go ahead? And you tell us, yes, I want to go ahead. So do you take him, blah, blah, blah? Is there any impediment? All those things is to get it clear that what you are entering into, it is not that the church is putting you together today and the day after you come back that you chose and you don't like. We want you to get all grounds cleared. You've done all your checks and balances. You've done all your inside-out checks, and you are sure of what you are going in. But unfortunately, we are dealing with human beings who go into marriage with all sorts of ideas. Before we came on set, I was talking to lawyer, and lawyer mentioned that some people are even seeking divorce after 4 days. After 4 days of marriage, just at the honeymoon did not even end. The fight broke out and they are seeking divorce. You see, people go into marriage, and as time goes on, people come into marriage with all sorts of ideas. Somebody may be a thief, but he doesn't want to go and rob, so he'll be arrested and sent to prison. So this man is rich, and I want some of his riches and his wealth. Let me trap him and marry him. When I marry him, after some few days, I divorce him and share his property. Oh, this lady is very nice, hardworking, blessed, prosperous. I'm not working. I just want some of her money. So let me trap her, marry her, and after a while. So people go into marriage with all sorts of ideas. And that is what is affecting marriage now. So it looks like the church is not doing their best. But it is the intentions of the people contracting the marriage.
But Reverend, not to cut you, but don't you think that counseling should be a continuous thing? It shouldn't be that when you are just entering the marriage before counseling is, we place premium on counseling before
the premarital counseling.
Yes, but after the marriage, I think
post-marital.
There should be counseling throughout the year for couples.
The churches do that. We do that not in the form of calling the couple to come for one-on-one counseling. But that is why churches organize marriage seminars, marriage conferences, where my problem is addressed, not because...
Some of the marriage seminars, you have to pay for it. So assuming the couple cannot pay for it, what happens? That's what I'm asking, is the church doing
Yes,
enough?
I can't talk for those ones. But my church, every marriage seminar, conference is free.
Okay.
To the extent that you can even, you the couple, if you realize you have a challenge and you think you need counseling, you can seek for it in my church and you don't pay anything. That is the duty of the church, because the church, we are the stewards of marriage. Marriage is an institution ordained of God. And if the church represents God, then it is our duty to make sure that marriages are sustained Marriages are enjoyed. Marriages become as Bible has prescribed it to be. So it should make us better. The two coming together achieves more, and it does not destroy us. So that is the vision of the church. But unfortunately, we have all the time for the premarital counseling. But after marriage, we don't have time again for anything that will help us to build a better marriage. But you know, marriage is work. So it's continuous. You don't end the preparation for a good marriage after the ceremony where you are declared a husband and wife. No, more work goes into it, because every day there will be surprises. You can't use 1 year, 2 years to get to know your spouse enough.
Even 20 years.
Thank you. There are things they do, they themselves don't know they do them. Like somebody sleeping and snoring. There are a lot of people who snore, and when you wake them up, say you are snoring. Say,
me?
Did I snore?
I don't
No,
snore.
unless you record them. And even the recording, if you record audio without video, they will argue. So you record video, they see themselves in it. So
and remember, you know, there are marriages in court awaiting divorce because of snoring.
Okay.
You know.
So you see, you must be ready. And like I said, some things can be managed because they won't kill you, they won't destroy you. They are not against the very ethics of marriage. Snoring, who buys it? You understand? You may not even know why you are snoring.
Yeah.
But chemical reactions and body compositions and whatever it is concerning the body can cause you to snore. Can't we just overlook it? Or can't we seek help? Maybe the position of sleep. Some people snore based on the way they lie down on the bed. You understand? So there are trivial things that can be discussed and worked on. But are we willing? Because you can force the horse to the riverside, but you can never force the horse to drink water. There are people who, when you engage them, they pretend they don't understand anything you are saying, just because they know their agenda. They know what they are up to. So for marriage counseling, it's even good you get yourself associated with couple, you admire them and you learn from them, because you may see the outward appearance and think this couple have no issues, but you'll be surprised the issues they are managing in their relationship, because every marriage has issues. I'm telling you. Yeah. If I want to divorce my wife, even the way she handed over the cup of water to me, I can stand on to divorce her. Even the way she spoke to me when I was with my friends, the way she even entered the room, because maybe I was naked, opening the door, she opened the door wide. I said, don't you know if somebody was behind you, they would have seen my nakedness. But you see, these are things you can easily overlook. So the church is doing its best to make, because look, if any marriage is affected, the church is affected. The church derives its strength from the family unit. Strong family, strong church. Strong husband and wife, strong church. Strong parents and children, strong church. So the stronger the relationship at home, the better the church. You understand? So the church will never wish that marriages are dissolved, marriages break down. Because imagine, husband and wife are both leaders of the church. And they break up, but they are in the church. How do you assign them to duties that both of them are good at, that coming together would have advanced the cause of the church? So the church is doing its best, but it's the willingness of the people. We are dealing with human beings. They get so engaged after marriage. I'm busy. They book counseling sessions and they don't attend the counseling sessions. Meanwhile, the counselor is ready. You understand? They give, at the last minute, an excuse is sent. Oh, I was caught up in traffic. I had to attend to this. So the church is doing it best. And the best is through the preaching. The best is through the reading of the scriptures. The best is through the prayers we are saying for the people. The best is through attending seminars and learning because you can't stop learning concerning marriage. No, you can't stop learning. So please, let's do well to attend marriage seminars, marriage symposium. And as you said, please, let's do well. The Bible said that freely have we received and freely we should give. If it's within the church setting, it should be free. If anybody is seeking your help professionally, as a professional counselor, that you do it for a living, then please, that one, take your fees. But if it's at the church level, and we are organizing seminars and symposiums within the church setting, I think we should do it for free, so that the knowledge and the experience gained by people who have gone ahead in marriage and by professionals like a lawyer and doctors and co can be brought to bear to benefit the people in the church. Because sometimes the divorce is also medical problem or has a medical base. But there are things we can do. You understand? Before we came on set, 30 seconds, lawyer was whispering to me of some divorces that is due to sexual reasons. The man is not able to satisfy the woman because the woman thinks that the man is not endowed enough to make her happy. But there are ways to go about it. It's not only with the organs. You understand? So seek medical help. Medically, what is advisable to do to make my partner happy? Let's do it. Let's be happy. Let's enjoy. And let's focus on what God wants to do with our marriage. So let's seek help. And let the church be there to help first. If the church is not helping, then you seek professional advice.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's be focused and let's be happy. That is my key thing I've taken from this discussion. Thank you so much for helping us discuss this important topic of divorce. We will come to your way again next week. And when we come back, we'll be discussing custody of children and property acquisition. When couples decide to divorce, how should properties be shared amongst them? Thank you for watching.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses? Talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors.
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@GhanaWeb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Hello, this is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to talk about the disease progression of breast cancer. We will be doing an introduction into what disease progression is and its importance. Disease progression describes how any condition starts from one end and becomes complicated or spreads and can cause other things. This is similar to how a child, for example, goes from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, class 4, and so on. The importance of understanding the progression of breast cancer is that it helps us to know what are the treatment options, when can we use certain treatment options, and then what are the types of tests that we require at the different stages of breast cancer. Join us again as we go into detail about the disease progression on our next episode. Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to continue our talk on the disease progression of breast cancer. Breast cancer goes through 3 identifiable disease stages. The first one is the localized breast cancer. Then we have the locally invasive breast cancer. And finally, the metastatic breast cancer. Today, we will talk about the first 2. Localized breast cancer is that breast cancer in which the breast cancer cells are restricted, they are limited to the tissue from which they arise. This means that it's often difficult at this stage to even feel that there is a cancer going on, but this is the easiest stage to deal with. Next is the locally invasive breast cancer. At this stage, the cancer cells begin to move out of the tissue they started through what is known as lymph vessels. Lymph vessels occur all over the body, and when the cancer cells begin to spread, they travel through these lymph vessels and enter what is called lymph nodes. The closest lymph nodes to the breast are in the axilla, also known as the armpit, and then along the sternum. Next time, we will talk about the metastatic breast cancer stage. Join us then. Thank you.
Osha situation and we see and I'm mebunu de ebufu ye because yet we perform na sade ebom the bus and obi mu wuye ahun nipa mienu ewu ye this side na akwala baako oye ni mami the TV asman so nkoye ebom na atwan buba ne be kohwe ni trim my party tima ni akwala ni wu atwan na the bus anu ehye mebunu abufuo na mo de to a Chinese for no wa amuna mu because no mo amuna mu ohun nti maburu to esiye no nti maburu de to am wo amuna mu because mo be bibi say ma ye timemufo ne ye aware say side we na ebe cause be ma obi amane.
The dynamite blast explosion on Monday, October 14, 2024, inside Budumburam, an area in Kaswa, has left many dead and others injured. We are currently on site at the scene where the incident happened to speak to eyewitnesses as well as victims and to get and speak to authorities on the issue. This is Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Mandy Achiman.
Osha situation and we see and I'm mebunu de ebufu ye because yet we perform na sade ebom the bus and obi mu wuye ahun nipa mienu ewu ye this side na akwala baako oye ni mami the TV asman so nkoye ebom na atwan buba ne be kohwe ni trim my party tima ni akwala ni wu atwan na the bus anu ehye mebunu abufuo na mo de to a Chinese for no wa amuna mu because no mo amuna mu ohun nti maburu to am esiye no nti maburu de to am wo amuna mu because mo be bibi say ma ye timemufo ne ye aware say side we na ebe cause be ma obi amane mo sorry na moye na ba sa ma mebundi ebufu e de call amuna no koye de ense omoye
nti omochi omosa no ahe no mo de wo mo call
omo ne omo kwa ahemfie I honna impendifo decide say side yan fa omo nkoma ere police na mama police for there ebe fa omo call police omo po be sia no ade chie de yenya menya information say omo agya omo anasa omo da ho awo police for ni nsem ti de minim fa de sie no I say ebufo ba dia de say timemufo ne be no meye e de omo sa be keka omo kakra
ebi pride Chinese for no
oh be impra ba body omo bo omo but pride me hu say obi pride ha na ma on say the way situation here ma mebu no bufu ye pa endra since almost started say omo pa ebo wa hey anytime be my information say side be because of omo pa ebo kwan so ntiere yanko yachi but endra situation no ye nya any information for any nadmo for nte basa no yetete wa na yete say ebo yeren a blast ne start say den ye true maker but say can not before no am my information e betime hu say am be side we nti no den yanko yachi na biribon den ento yen ye nya information bia won sa not before ho te high pa say ye no ma bebre ama ye den ye nya obia mbona mana say na den e course we fie nti en entra ama na basa no na even self almost started some year kwan no almost say ye no ma bebre almost say ye no almost ba sika kakre no mo de abla say in chance dan na etuetue no no mama baby say in chance that train na be say a no mama in chance dan no price no mo de ton no e say nka wo fa carpenter ni na den obey roofing no because omo ye ne sa say chance dan me say na be say a omo ba na mama den 3 million chance than the price no mo de ton wo market no mo de amount but engan say basa ha nteno so eren higher pa because ye dan we kire say me stay me video scroll on my phone so make me dey a kire ohun ni na kan say eren basa ba kwa say no omo ka so me ba omo ba biem be say ende still omo fa scan brain ye nti omo nka so ye more than 3 months ni esan ka eren omo brain iska na ye de but still ye nti omo nka apart from endra ya a blast ya endra me hu na before me no omo ba ha omo ka se omo kwa no omo ya well for sa blasting we nke endra ye easy kula wa ha endra ye easy kula ha ya pa.
We are still on the quest to find answers regarding the blast that happened yesterday, which has claimed several lives and left many injured. We are currently inside Budumburam, and I'm here with a relative of one of the deceased persons who unfortunately lost her life when the blast happened. And we will be speaking with her to find out answers and also to speak to her on what the way forward is. This is Say It Loud.
You were quite one year to dear. And a panamuna until 2:30. And we are. Yet, it's a sasia was to say, Boom! Now, if a boat to ferry a boat to ferry my boy, year, Cassia. Tell me, if some sister and say, Ama, I don't know blasting on one announcement to be a big Jania Cotta baby. Anna. Was it that be master me ni more? And see that time no be a Johnny. I want my sister and so Kupeja and a banner. No, yes, so one also Johnny Cotta baby. I'm one more and a bonus Siano. No born the quantity will push and an a banner 12 from no dance. And see, I want to me Peja no free form. I'm a faculty secretary. Na me TM Saman from Buami or na Mrs. Aniwu. I'm Buami. So like your car private bin or a parking motor ni see ho. And no far no more than a call hospital. I'm going to hospital one survival bill. Na yanti announcement biya. I'm not brass, I'm not brassia. Moya announcement mo bia kwa chire a omben na ndra de yante bibia.
Na me pa market o moton den o.
Eton body nyaadwa kontomre tomatoes. Na me sister no so de waton samina. Ani akekedu ne garlic na nchene.
Na aye akwanhia ni se no empanyinifo bi etimi abane mu abetwetwe nkomo.
Police for no be take pictures ni moja na egu ho no. En no be twa pictures na. Ti anape no ohene na ewo ha no. Obode wuro se wo bia mehye mu ode background ho. Na omo ho aka. Omo bibia sei. Omo nipa ewuwo no. Omo ho kwanya omo de befa so. So we almost so be ambrefie na not before no be around. Na mo be take pictures near there.
Na wokasa no chere se o fa ne ba no ne ho kan ba bia na.
Akola ne de wo save no woda no so. Te me na me pagya no eto nchen ansa me fa akola ne share chinti nyame adom akola ne de. Me be bia anka be moja ne na yiye na tadi.
Onya mfie sen
2 years.
Na mpacho sisi anebusia no den na mo ya fa ho se mo hwe se mo ba hwe se aban be ye bibia fa ho na se apolisi
Anape de ye kwhie mo ho no mo se omo beba obi ambrefie omo abeba around na omo bibia wu omo epra ne de nyame ya adom ochena anapa 9 o'clock obi ambra the background ho bio eno pe no mo ka kire
na ne na mo so a akwanhia ne si ne kire construction for no so mpanyinifo bi etimi etu bata abaha ne mabenti
bibia.
So our mother here is bereaved. Her relative was one of the victims of yesterday's incident, and to summarize everything that she says they sell food items at the market just closer to where the incident happened. And during the blast, they were trying to find a place to hide, to seek shelter. But unfortunately, one of the stones hit her relative, who at the spot lost her life. But she managed to save her 2-year-old daughter when she fell due to the stone hitting her on the neck. And speaking about the aftermath of her death, she said authorities, especially the police, have been around to take pictures of the accident scene, and they are expected to convene at the Chief's Palace tomorrow for a durbar to address what happened, and she's hoping that justice will be served to the family. Ebacho obey baby omo ye kwan.
Ebacho me be ha.
Ye koso bia weni etua. Me pese me bisa o se enra de esi ye no. Sen ena esifa bae.
Enra adwuma wo me start here na ha ya na ewo. Me shop wo enimu ha. Nti omo ba start omo bombi we na omo ka kire ye. Omo braste bo na omo ka kire so. Omo fa e cho by 4 o'clock ye mfi ha. Omo start na asa na omo ka. Ba we de nra de de ete ho na omo ka kire se. Omo di we na hye we na senti ye mfiri ha. Ene asu o sisi ye beto sisi omo sen an nti ye na ye mfi na so. Ene sa da se mo nka bibia nche school for nti mo nka bibia nche school for. Ena boy na odi information ne ba so. E first time omo ye adwuma wan nyon no odi sa information ba nti ne ye mfa ni serious. Ti e ho na penin ba ko na e ota be ma information oba no be ka je se me ndundu me bibia na me mfi me shop ni mu. Eti e fi on ye kwa bet se 10 minutes. Ni ehun sa de na blaster ebo no eba edimika ye de ko nti yen ye ho na ejontem na ni say ni the road across the road ndi e ho na njontem na ekodi nsemo ni bebre wo ho no
acha baby I not to say ye baby ebo no wo mo pan na he fa pot na obetimi appoint atre ye se ebo no eto ye said ye etimi call this side
e wo inside ha
okay
baby abo ka say we da no ni inside e ho no mo de ade ni she nti blast di ko ni se nti yen no amba ye so kese
na obeni hai weni tua enema bebra ekoso anytime a omo be blast ya eya amamra bi koso bibi koso nkitanwode bi koso ansa na omo ye empaipaye na na say den
Oh, yeah, what had a man baby and cost by the Tennessee. So, Mobaya, at times on the information center. In Tanopano Crampa Woofy, old damper, so I would say, BBC Becoso. And so, bow shop or so, young bimbe, I know some of my time. But wait there, my time. Yet, the almost say, young sorry, free. Now, BBC Becoso. See, sorry, so uncheck. Let us say, delay a Caribbean can some near bedding a wahana, papa. By your can buy in drug the any program, Mamma Cash and find to be any much say, be Coso.
School for Navy were around, the man Mujanino.
Oh, sir, Tama Yan, lucky, say, be better, my dinner can say, anything, Martin, what be, no, says there be on session. It's all no female, or Uncolana and Quas Samuel Grano, or more, Uncolana started say, Bianco, Bianco. It is Tamuna a happy way, and no more on those. No, ye may be mushy inside. A lucky or later, may be a bimubanicus and ade, or the normal.
Our mother here has a shop situated closely to the blasting site where the unfortunate incident happened, and giving her account of what transpired, she says there was no prior information for them to vacate their premises before the dynamite exploded. And according to her, anytime there's supposed to be a blasting of that gravity, they are informed of it. So before the blasting takes place, they are already evacuated to avoid any tragic incident. But yesterday's one was different because no information of that sort was given. But according to her, immediately around 10 minutes when they vacated the premises, the blast took off, causing significant damage to properties and claiming lives, with many others injured. So giving a first-hand account, she said the school managed to vacate students out of the school premises before the incident happened. I'm here at the St. Gregory Catholic Hospital, where many of the accident victims were brought on admission. Yesterday's blast saw many injured. We will be going inside to speak to the hospital administrator to find out the number of victims who are currently receiving treatment from the facility, and to also speak to the victims from the incident to get a first-hand account of what actually transpired. This is Still Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV. We are still on Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV, and I'm currently at the St. Gregory Catholic Hospital inside Gomoa, Budumburam, to engage with the hospital administrator. And I'm currently here with Mr. Ayegre Matthias Anaba to find out the number of victims that have been admitted in the facility. Welcome, sir, on GhanaWeb TV. Please, would like to find out the number of admissions made so far with regards to the incident.
Okay, thank you for coming. So, in all, we received a total of 47. Out of this number, 3 unfortunately died on arrival. 4 were referred, 2 to 37 military hospital on account of head injury, 2 to Winneba Trauma Hospital on account of fracture. Now, we discharged 34 of these. Currently, 13 are on admission. Among these 13 is a 7-month-old baby, and they are all in stable condition and responding to treatment. This is the present situation.
Please, regarding the assessment, your assessment of the incident, what would you have to say with the pressure that has been held on since yesterday with the coming in and the going?
Yes, so it was, the pressure was enormous because this was mass casualty. Numbers trooping in within 30 minutes, we have to host this all these numbers. So all staff, were called on board, and each person having everything to do to make sure There were no further mortalities. So we managed the pressure with the help of the Ghana Police and Fire Service to contain it. And so as at this morning, the tension has come down, the pressure has come down, and everything is under control.
So with those responding to treatment, how well are they currently?
Well, as I said, there's no life-threatening situation. Many of them, they are all responding to treatment very well. And I'm sure, quite sure, probably, that maybe by the end of the day, there will be further discharges.
Please, can you tell us the injury regarding the 7-month-old baby?
Oh yes, so it was a cut on the head, forehead. Yeah, but not too bad, so we are able to manage it.
So I was coming back from the market, then the incident happened. So the rock hit my head and I fell down. And instantly I was rushed to the hospital. Yeah, emergency. So later on, the doctor came, then they stitched my wounds for me and they gave me some injections. And they gave us police reports to sign and those kinds of things. So that's what happened.
Have you received any visit from the police?
Yeah. The police came here to check up on us, how we are doing. They asked us a few questions, then things.
Can you share with us a bit of the questions, a couple of them?
They were like, how am I feeling now? Am I okay? Those kinds of questions. Nothing serious, but how am I feeling then things.
So with your current condition and situation, how has the incident traumatized you?
How traumatized I was. I couldn't sleep yesterday. So now, but right now I'm feeling okay. So the doctor said he will discharge me today. So maybe he said Friday I'll come back so that they will check my wounds for me again. Only the police came here to ask us few questions, how we are and things.
The Michelle Java a quam hobby. The Nataman, the normal Bastiana, I said, born to trim the car even. It's Miss Meeting the Canada. The Miss Wimbanner from Akuma in a year. I'm better taken with any pressure costume. To measure now. Then tell me some more. They all had a baby. I'm a baby, I'm buying Kaye. But a dear winter. Then long one you happy. And Kaye Romo boy. But you almost and matched it. I don't know everything and matched it, sir. But I'm not a buy a chitty. Tell him on the bazaar. But according to Crack, I must say, be baha. That's what I call one meeting me baha. A bar market man and bet almost to be a maho. Tomboy and Kayapa.
Our mother here is a victim of yesterday's explosion incident, and she sells just along the road, and due to the commotion when the blast happened, there was chaos. People were running helter-skelter trying to find shelter. So due to that, her BP actually went up. So she was admitted to the hospital for treatment, and she's still recovering steadily. Hopefully she will be discharged soon.
I was at my workplace and I saw the stones coming. When I saw the stone coming, I went and hid inside my shop. And then the stone spoiled everything in the shop. It spoiled it. So after that, I was coming out to check whether
everything is okay. When I come out, then one stone hit at my back and I fell. So I was shouting for help and another stone hit at my back again. And then it didn't say anything again.
That was the last thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do?
I sell hair for braiding.
Was there any announcement given before the blast?
I didn't hear any announcement, but they said they did the announcement in the morning, early in the morning, but they don't hear anything.
Have you received any visitors regarding authorities coming to see you?
Yes. Police people came here and gave us their reports. And then this Honorable Desmond too, he came here. And then Assemblyman too, he came here. And then those who were doing the road, they also came here.
So do you know when you're going to be discharged?
They said that they are coming to give me medicine after that I will go home and come back on Friday.
I know the incident has really traumatized you. How has it really affected you in your own account?
I can't walk. If I walk, unless someone helped me before, then I'm feeling pain at my waist and my back too.
Behind me is where the unfortunate blasting incident happened. We have spoken to a lot of people, affected victims, authorities, and you have heard all they have to say. And one thing echoes in their statement: there was no prior information before the incident happened. This has been Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV, and I'm your host, Mandy Ajiman. My cameraman has been Kwame Ajaho, and my location driver is Isaac Sechiama. Special thanks to all of them. Until we meet again next time, this is Say It Loud.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
This is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to talk about the disease progression of breast cancer. We will be doing an introduction into what disease progression is and its importance. Disease progression describes how any condition starts from one end and becomes complicated or spreads and can cause other things. This is similar to how a child, for example, goes from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, class 4, and so on. The importance of understanding the progression of breast cancer is that it helps us to know what are the treatment options, when can we use certain treatment options, and then what are the types of tests that we require at the different stages of breast cancer. Join us again as we go into detail about the disease progression on our next episode. Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to continue our talk on the disease progression of breast cancer. Breast cancer goes through 3 identifiable disease stages. The first one is the localized breast cancer. Then we have the locally invasive breast cancer. And finally, the metastatic breast cancer. Today, we will talk about the first 2. Localized breast cancer is that breast cancer in which the breast cancer cells are restricted, they are limited to the tissue from which they arise. This means that it's often difficult at this stage to even feel that there is a cancer going on, but this is the easiest stage to deal with. Next is the locally invasive breast cancer. At this stage, the cancer cells begin to move out of the tissue they started through what is known as lymph vessels. Lymph vessels occur all over the body, and when the cancer cells begin to spread, they travel through these lymph vessels and enter what is called lymph nodes. The closest lymph nodes to the breast are in the axilla, also known as the armpit, and then along the sternum. Next time, we will talk about the metastatic breast cancer stage. Join us then. Thank you.
For years, authorities have looked on as galamsey ravage the forests, destroy water bodies, and displace several communities. But there is a sudden twist to this, as several communities, awakened by the glaring and devastating effects of galamsey, have taken matters into their own hands. From demonstrations to personal initiatives, these communities are harnessing the collective power of the people and fighting a David and Goliath battle to protect their lands which they hold in trust for the past, present, and future generations. This story explores the inspiring journeys of communities bent on winning the fight against galamsey. Here is Atuna, and this is their galamsey story.
4 years, some communities in the Bono region have mounted a strong and spirited resistance against illegal mining, or galamsey, a notorious activity that has destroyed several communities, leading to the biodiversity loss, land degradation, and loss of farmland, reducing the potential for agriculture and threatening food security. This spirited community-led resistance, edged on courageous protests, demonstrations, and grassroots initiatives, continues to gain momentum as both residents and their local leaders work hand in hand to ward off galamseyers, who are seen as potential threats to the region's water bodies, farmlands, and forest cover. At the forefront of this community-led resistance is a border community called Atuna, a major cocoa, cashew, and food hub in the Jamai South municipality of the Bono region, where the chiefs and people have declared the area as a no Galamsey zone, because to them, the fight against Galamsey is not just an environmental issue, but a matter of economic survival for the residents, who are predominantly farmers, whose way of life will directly be threatened by illegal miners in their lure for gold. Nana Brago Kani II, the Queen Mother of Atuna, and a key figure in the community-led resistance, provides an insight into the successful revolution against Galamsey.
Nokure se beba Atuna ha. Na kwan a omofa so ba ye de mebo ne tofanti. Ye wo hwa na omo ba se omo ahu se Atuna agudie wo ha. Nti omo behu ye na omo abitu. Te ba sa no ye ne nananom ne mabunu wo kuro nga ye trase ye. Na ye dwene hu se bebetu agudie na emwa ye Atuna ha. Efi se Atuna ha ye nananom ne ye papanom kuadwuma ne no moye. Nti etetri jahyehe ye na koko hye ye no. No kwasem na eyawrehosem. Ti sa bre ye penso no. Esanse na ye papa no ye kuafo nti omo anya sika anhwe ye school. Nti abano so bo modern ebo jahu dawura magahye no ejaye. Ti esanse ye yanko school nti Atuna ma ye sane fa ye to ye ho so say ye nananom kwia omo ye no ye beto aso. Nti ye dua koko ye dua cashew no mo ba ye no ye hwehwemu hu say so mo ba ye garanse na koko no be hwere ye cashew no so be hwere ye aduana ye bedi e be san ya boye afeso ye nsuo kura ye sam no nsuo no be sei. Nti ye nananom nyina akwa apam se da bi asenwe die mu oduru maye ye kasa ye gi atoma emmoaye. Nti yeso ye bo aboso ye de ya desrede kwoto abananim ma yetimi si ano a nne ye wo ye koko ye wo ye cashew ye wo ye nsupa ye sane wo ye aduana ye di a ye wo asomdwie ti wo bisama na sanete.
Nana Brago Kani II recounted some of the challenges they endured to ward off the Galamseyers, considering the powerful people in the Galamsey industry, but they preserved and won the battle.
No kwasem who say omodie woska nti ya ye tu anamo no nti o de fa ha na omo so de afa ha na mmom panyimfo se de ade wo no ni di efi say bebe ka kire ye say asase no ase ye abane de na ani so ye nananom de na mpanyimfo so ye hu say ye free one ansa yakotu nti say ani ne ye de a ene ye mamo nse ani no nti ya amfa ne yize de ye ne beham so ama ye twetwere petition ka ye hawa mekan nyina say eba sakura ye ma no be nko school po bebe ye garanse sem anro be se beba ye so nkura no be se obe wi od be sande yare ahodo bia abre efi say nsuo no ebe sei nsuo no so sei a wo sahwe ye hwe enye yie onuma enye yie nti ye si gina ye bre ye de na mum nyame so mankunidie ye de.
She added that the community has resolved not to allow Galamsey on the lands now and in the future in the interest of the people due to the negative impact of Galamsey.
Yes, ye gina ye kete pa. Say ye de nananom a oni mabunu a ono nti a mabunu wo han. Say ye nwu mfiri ho de na bia beba say obeye Galamsey Atuna asase so de ye makwan ne makwan kina. Enti ya ma ye de hye ba kokora abonwu me ka se nka o mebonwu no kora ha na muntie nti anya de a ye be makwan efi say asase no ye gi to ho ma nchirima ye de ye bewu akosesi ya o na se ye ma bebetu ye gi besika no ni ye ma bebetu a nchirima o mo beba no asase be ne beba beto wo Atuna ha benya ba bi kura bebesi fie kura bebenya uji skana asase so no besi fie nasi asase no so no betu ase ne no besi dan nasi sebi ye nsi dan nsi wiem ye sisi asase so nti asase no de ye guso na ye nimu se ne nsama yaka ne ye krata ya twera ma aban no aban so betie ya o manipa bi ama Atuna na nkora no sa aban antie ya beba ye nananom de oni mabura ye Atuna ha ye da so gina de ye gina ye makwan ma bense ya asase no.
The Mrantini of Atuna, Nana Salifo Ameni Amponkumi, who attributed the success of this resistance to the support of the youth in the community, commended them for their unwavering support.
Bra good for ba Atuna hano. And the nipa mi ensemble na emame amaniampon masontie. Na me ni be fa adwene. Na adwene fa ne se sa na tie dia. Ese mi hu se kuro no epe. Ana kuro no mpe. Nti emame ti komati kakra. Ma yewura afiem na ni nyina kwa wie no na ma hu se kuro no dom no empene sa galamsey no so. Enu nti ma yenya dom elbeta na ahemfu no machi. Se de be ya ye beko atia galamsey no. Nti dom amnie no eyemrante ene mayewa no a bewo kurim ha. Se de msi nwura fie ma ye campaign no memhu se mrante mayewa no ani nye ho. Nti eyemrante mayewa kurim ni boye chi dom ma yekoboa na nanom a yetumisi anokwan. Se de na ahema ye ka no yamfa na hongrono so empo ekodu ba bi ma soja ayi manfo wo sikanti ekofa soja fo bi hunhuna ye enso ni nyina mu no mrante en mai wo kurum esinkete e mai bo ni ma bedwane koye enam so ma galamsey no amaso nti ye mrante en mai a ewo kureduem ni boye chidom na nanom achidom a yetumisi anokwan nti meda Atuna mrante ene mai wo empo nya Atuna mpo kuro a atwa Atuna ho ahia nyina ebeboaye ewo saa konom nti megina we so ada Atuna mabunu mma ne memma konsia batia ntabenne kwampra kurom kuro atwa Atuna ho ahia brikasu nyina beko bi mae ti meda obe nyina asese beye moa galamsey no ntima maso sanse ba so Atuna ha nka nkuro ya mi kan nyina no nka galamsey no eduru ho nti meda mabunu no nyina ase kuro duemu ni kuro amabo dini nyina no ndabe nyina se beboa ya be ma galamsey no yetumisi ano.
A youth in the community, Akwan George, also narrated the role the youth played in the resistance.
The Yakoba say Ohana nananom ya yebem nananom binum mayenya ntie say galamsey for abomonan so say ompe say omutu galamsey ewo yekrum ha na omohwe yekrum ha galamsey e godu ha pa na abaya mo kwan say omra metu ti nananom frɛ yemu binum mayekoe na ekohia nananom bi say omo say omojetum omo ka say dabi omonyentum na ye maburu no ye da achenti yesusu ye nkasa na omo so entie maye ka che nananom say benhwe ye koko benhwe ye kashu benhwe ye duane atosode normal de ye nya firi krom ha nko apo osonyebo nti ma ye ni galamsey nachi na china nchima emeka no me semfa wu yeso abra na nananom ni ho abra yesusu ye nyini nti ye kan ye no no kro nyame nim ni nananom ti ase still ana ba no mo ba me amegina hayi sika omode abre me amama hu bi me hu bi o me life nda but omo ba sika no so omode be kirewo opene so a je ompene so a ombe inkoloji say be cheche no mo bebre but in all no yanti ase ma yakobodwa ama aye mineral commissions for ba ha mombe bodwa hia kro no nyina ye ka kire omo say anya de bi say ye beti ase ne ati ase da abanzo ope cashew ope cocoa ope nuane ni nyina bi wo ha nti ye be ma onu mu ma yeren aso ye ni my brother me ka kire wa free ye Atuna ha ye te boda no free akopem sunwan the whole of this Bono region ope kura o produce cocoa pa ya Atuna mo ko search nhwe kura produce aduane cocoa cashew ayatuna na in ono ye mabunu na yesu so yesi ye ntiase na yesi agina ye no so no agina ye tuo no de eba so kama na nanom tai achi se biti ye kroma no kase adwumani a oboa oye kwadworo isane se ye nuanom sirimfo sabi omo afri north abaha abagin sase adrafo a nei omo koko cashew ni nuane bebre ni babunu betena ha a obeka ko anaka ko babi se adwumani kroma no na ompa adwuma yo ompeku adwuma yeso ye di ye nananom saso de why na dwen so obekọ school de nananom bada woroma ye boa ma ne ko de wa wantumi anko so de ku adwuma no kese wo wia obeyo ndi ye de nyina ne se ye tima fight bepom sabre abane nto aye so ye ni se babi bebre wo ho abane de Oceano return in second normal awako dia Oceano undinziano da ye krum hadie never on this earth se bi betimasi ene ye kan se galanse fo baba ye be hataya hu se kete ni ya double ntirim beba na excavators nim vidie wodo a bre bere betu galamse no na je se ya dawo na ba fire so no be kuye nyina wie dia abane mfa kru no na onye de obeye se oye se aso na ro be boana onye ndi galanse ho asem na galanse issue de ye tu na haide me nkwaku jami ko de me mre ye ne mbusiafo ye ne nananom ye ne namfo ye ne bia busia no nyina kiremu a atuna dom mrante ne mayo ase ye mpreso ne mpreso kina ndi ya fight up nsabiri ndi galanse de e maso sense koko wa cashew wa nua no wa bibia wa de ye pen vrama ye hom ne ye pen sa ye zo ye nya ne ye pen sa ti abane so omeso ya so no moaye na de ye pen no Oma ye nyuma na ye mu binoma sebi ba ye ba dwene se be de sebi ko galamse ne be boa be no na watima ye den watima asasa ba dwene firi ho ye da mas nyame hira mo.
On his part, the chief of Atuna, Nana Apia Kubi Abebiu II, appealed to the government to give the people of Atuna the fair share of the national cake, considering the feat they have been able to achieve in the Galamsey fight.
Sa yenewe ya esori kuremi na babunu ana na bia anhwire ni moja sanse na ye nkodene na enye beteso enyame ne ye nananom ebo ye ho bane ama sabre ubia mpira ubia anko ahokyere bim na ne mpesen kan kese pa na se Ghana bane ontie yesu frɛ sanse ono kura wa sojafo bekite atuo no saadie we bentimi nsia no ewo baabi na Atuna mane ye ni tuo ye ne seka ne ne agyan eye ya no ene ye nyansa ne ye nimdie ne ye tindisi saadie na no baabi a yati boa no ya makwan ama saadie ankoso smogere ye nye bi wo ha nso yati boa no do a ye do Ghana mainti ne yetu sa na monno mabuna ye wo kron ha no eni adwuma ye mesre aban se o chiche ne national cake na o ma bi nso ye so mo obey ye kwana ye nam so eni ye school adana e wo ha enye sabi ya yare sabi akura no kreneke popochua bi nikita ye ha emwa ye.
The assembly member for the Atuna electoral area, Yeboah Lawrence, alleged that several attempts were made to compromise him, but he rejected those offers in the interests of the community.
During the fight, it's not easy for us. You see, as we fight against those who have the amenities or the ammunitions. It's not easy. You soldiers, you for more opinion leaders. Yeah, so easy mind. But the boys in organization, we organize ourselves very well. That's the important thing for every community. We organize ourselves. So organization, we give them the profit or the effective profit in it is saying the veggies can be dear but if effect huge. Your plan is as a youth, your toward doors. We need committee, municipal assembly, no, many MC, I several times. I can see who's adding now because of some assemblyment, no access to security. And district police commander, there's no money like us. And any hint better than a call no more. But may advise Ghana for say. A Becca side be an abetrayal. Oh, Winyeska, but Maminka Cemetery. The Ewoma and your panese community no,Ncrophone baby beba or more free baby or more on young for papa because being young Crawford baby on Bepisca. 2. Community no, Yare beba. And as Sikana ye cano, that illegal mining no, a blood, Obinima may come, many be a interview, a blood, and a idea. Ntia baby yes ade ni owo akunkum and a mercury na ye use no eno so enye emma ye
He indicated that they have instituted community-based measures to protect their lands and urge other communities to emulate the people of Atuna if they want to defeat Galamsey.
Task force, many committee, many youth leader, many district assembly, municipal assembly, including district commander. They may catch a T4 voting and say, a best ramping for Sadin Edi Ghana, a sensu and sua, Ghana, ye new future. Ye plan a ya fase yati committee, no, but be a cost to be a Monte committee, you bit me see Sadin no quine. And this I soldier for no bar or more penny for a tertiary. You can't hubuma organization, and I say creation a bit me a my fatty for Galamsey. Say Omoba, near my ever cassa be yamano, a door so send the old, and she said 1 minute there. One, me say, Omo friend, Omo on Beman Pradu, on better than what Trasa Enti me nem busa almost say enti sa dan ne sa you know ye beto ma community member bia na going forward no chiriman so ye beto sa de na ma enti omo breaki omo aba me 2 times enti ye forces eto da ubenya nkrofo mbetan wo but e so hwe nipa na oni omo te no na hwe da chinchirima no ene na ebetimi dia fight na enye easy because it will be ko ba bia usuro and what say ba bi wo ha wo nante anajo go unim de wo nipa ne ti mo kan ya wante no Tino and easy. They say, oh, Moba, me fear the man, Miss Kay's cat to catch him and pay Musca. Because community no your pet, your pedibity, de bia, your pedibity, and Tino idea and na form.
Some farmers share their views on the importance of the anti-Galamsey stance being championed by the community.
Yeah, no matter number Peter there. The man who, and in the next time I can see so Galamsey, young person be the Kuruman say, so I hate you so. Ye he baby bebrua Galamsey asase asensuo nti ha de ye nte ase ma bi ma ha aso ye kokoko bebre e wo ha nti ye be kokoko ho ban Galamsey sika no kora omode ma wa obedi ne sese ya ba kokoko so de ye benya so mfaso mana no so benya so mfaso nti ya tuwi na de ye nte ase ma Galamsey e me se ya asase ne ye nsuo no
de ya se nte ase ne se Galamsey sika no ye di pasisi ya yenti mi mebi na kokoso de afipia wenye biate e de ahwe wo school de awon padua so de bia bobla eni de ase
de nti esi sa gina no ye tu kwan kakra ye ta akoko agency bi se de me ka no me fa ya asante de ya meta ko me ma me nche wo Jakobu ye amanse central ye kwa kwan ye fasu se ba sensase ena ho youth no be si in fact babu ye me de meka se babu adam sanam de ni hunu be si aye no ye mpese ye kurum ha mobu no so be ye sa ena ye he benefit ye nya firi ni kuku no ma in fact the whole year bitima ba se kuku bi mfiri dua no so kura ten bia obe hia sika e wo dua no ho no wa okwa na kuku se ye na kwan Galamsey for so see the sense as na reka se one day show ye gisa sika na afinu na ebe disika no men ka se ye de be ye ni yivi ya ye be nya fufu bi afi ba bi adim they say ya senka wo san bi meti kura ma ya kwafu ma obehu duana esan wo kuku na ase ba yire utu ba yire ba kuma na ka kiro se ba yire wi efi akofi ma obeka se nya se wa ode wani ehu anka obeka se nya no kure nti mi hu se Galamsey na de good no amanfo se disika ba de na me de me am gira ha de me share that because never panum be penso bia no never panum be kuku ne shebe ti sa anso no giri se ba be kuku no faso a men so sabi sisi o hede dam ma chi ya more than keka ko me fan say bag la na sa ti bag 3000 se me ko je 3000 na say even 2000 kwa na inso e bitima abo ma me de ayo ne ma be bi nti Galamsey de me ka se mfaso bi wo so a me de mesiri pako se hu bi ni so se de Galamsey.
The people have risen and spoken in clear language, and gradually the tide is turning. Ghana's Galamsey epidemic will not be conquered overnight, but the seeds of change have been sown in Atuna and several other communities in the Atuna region. These communities are standing tall and have demonstrated that the power to shape their communities lies in their hands. Yes, that is people's power. This is the new narrative, which will be etched in our collective memory forever. From Atuna, in the German municipality of the Borno region, I am Abajado Frank, GhanaWeb.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Hello, this is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to talk about the disease progression of breast cancer. We will be doing an introduction into what disease progression is and its importance. Disease progression describes how any condition starts from one end and becomes complicated or spreads and can cause other things. This is similar to how a child, for example, goes from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, class 4, and so on. The importance of understanding the progression of breast cancer is that it helps us to know what are the treatment options, when can we use certain treatment options, and then what are the types of tests that we require at the different stages of breast cancer. Join us again as we go into detail about the disease progression on our next episode. Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today on your breast tips, we are going to continue our talk on the disease progression of breast cancer. Breast cancer goes through 3 identifiable disease stages. The first one is the localized breast cancer. Then we have the locally invasive breast cancer. And finally, the metastatic breast cancer. Today, we will talk about the first 2. Localized breast cancer is that breast cancer in which the breast cancer cells are restricted, they are limited to the tissue from which they arise. This means that it's often difficult at this stage to even feel that there is a cancer going on, but this is the easiest stage to deal with. Next is the locally invasive breast cancer. At this stage, the cancer cells begin to move out of the tissue they started through what is known as lymph vessels. Lymph vessels occur all over the body, and when the cancer cells begin to spread, they travel through these lymph vessels and enter what is called lymph nodes. The closest lymph nodes to the breast are in the axilla, also known as the armpit, and then along the sternum. Next time, we will talk about the metastatic breast cancer stage. Join us then. Thank you.
Ghanaians will be hitting the polls for the 2024 general elections. In view of this, GhanaWeb hit the streets of Zaire to gather from residents their assessments of the current government, factors that will influence their choice of vote on that day, as well as their peace messages.
How for the state of this is very shambolic. We have never experienced this kind of economy before. Look at the cost of living, look at inflation, look at everything. Everything is just in disarray. There's nothing on earth. You see that we have never experienced this. Look at the exchange rate. And you know, immediately exchange rate goes high, you see that our cost of living is affected. When your purchasing power and everything will be eroded by the cost of living. So people are suffering. So this economy is nothing to write home about. We are going to vote based on the economy. We are going to vote based on education. We are going to vote based on our standard of living. Because all these things, this current government has disappointed us. How for peace? There wouldn't be peace if NDC or if EC fails to do the right thing. Because they are the people who are money, and when you want to talk that they are clothed in the issue of they are independent. Nobody disputes that. But they must do the needful. So there wouldn't be peace in this election if EC fails to do the right thing. Because we have heard of illegal transfer of voters. So they must streamline the voter register so that everybody will be happy, so that the outcome of the election, everybody will accept it in good faith. So in order for peace to come, our peace in this country now borders on only the EC. Nobody, not even a political party, not even the religious people, nor the peace council, but it borders on EC, and EC must do the needful. That is the only thing I can talk about. Because if they fail to do this, I can tell you that the peace of this country cannot be guaranteed.
The economy is too bad for all of us because how we follow MPP up to now, we don't know where we are. We don't know what is going on. But they say when they win, they will give a job, what, everything, nothing. We don't see nothing up to this time. So everybody will now change our mind to vote for NDC, to come back to the power, so that it will help us better than the MPP. That day, I'm ready. Even my family, all my family, I told them to vote for NDC because we follow MPP up to years. We don't game any nothing. We don't know what is going on. Even they say jobs, what, all is lies. We didn't see anything up to now. So all my family and me, we are going to vote for NDC. The voting day, everybody have to take time. We'll get peace. Vote gently without any problem, no confusion, no fight, so that all the voting will be okay. Nobody should cheat, nobody should come and say vote for this. Everything belongs to your choice.
Nowadays, the economy is hard. The time John Mama was leave the office and MPP has come, the way they spoke, we thought he's going to do the same. But nowadays it's too much west. So the economy is very, very hard. So the way the economy is, I will advise my people that coming December 7th, they should go out well and vote for change. And the voting day, I would like everybody to go and vote, but they shouldn't cause anything. They should go back to their house and be listening. If they hear that JMA has won, then they jubilate what they want to jubilate.
I know that free education is good for we people. So, and those who don't have think that MPP government must lead us so that our children must also go where they also go. But now, if we look, you see that the NDC people, they think that they will do something that will vote for them. When we vote for them, maybe they think they can change it, but now they can't change anything. So to me, I said, for the MPP government, everybody, if you want, think well before you vote. If you don't think, you cannot vote. The election day, I advise people that if you go to vote, I beg, when you vote finish, leave the voting center. Don't be there. When you vote finish, you leave there and go to your house. After the time that when they declare, if you are win, then you can be jubilating. But if you are still there from the vote center that maybe they have been voting, that always cause confusion.
Since 10 a.m. that I come, it's getting to sit like that. Nobody is coming to stay. It can't change everything. Our MPs too is trying their best, but them cannot do anything. So we need to solve our issue. So we need a new president to come and see. It's spoiling our work. He can't change Lotto. 2020 election, I vote for MPP. But they win. They can't spoil our work. So now 2024 election, I will vote. I will change my vote. Because we need a new president to come and correct our back and come. So I want NDC to win this year. Because our everything just making spoil everything.
This is Sarah Bandalduburi reporting from Zare, Bolgatanga, Upper East.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana
Yes.
cedis.
But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@GhanaWeb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Hello, this is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today, on your breast tips, we are going to talk about the disease progression of breast cancer. We will be doing an introduction into what disease progression is and its importance. Disease progression describes how any condition starts from one end and becomes complicated or spreads and can cause other things. This is similar to how a child, for example, goes from class 1 to class 2 to class 3, class 4, and so on. The importance of understanding the progression of breast cancer is that it helps us to know what are the treatment options, when can we use certain treatment options, and then what are the types of tests that we require at the different stages of breast cancer. Join us again as we go into detail about the disease progression on our next episode. Thank you. Hello, my name is Dr. Samson Asala from the Medifem Multi-Specialist Hospital and Fertility Center. Today on your breast tips, we are going to continue our talk on the disease progression of breast cancer. Breast cancer goes through 3 identifiable disease stages. The first one is the localized breast cancer. Then we have the locally invasive breast cancer. And finally, the metastatic breast cancer. Today, we will talk about the first 2. Localized breast cancer is that breast cancer in which the breast cancer cells are restricted, they are limited to the tissue from which they arise. This means that it's often difficult at this stage to even feel that there is a cancer going on, but this is the easiest stage to deal with. Next is the locally invasive breast cancer. At this stage, the cancer cells begin to move out of the tissue they started through what is known as lymph vessels. Lymph vessels occur all over the body, and when the cancer cells begin to spread, they travel through these lymph vessels and enter what is called lymph nodes. The closest lymph nodes to the breast are in the axilla, also known as the armpit, and then along the sternum. Next time, we will talk about the metastatic breast cancer stage. Join us then. Thank you.
On today's edition of Campaign Trail on GhanaWeb TV, we've traveled all the way from Accra to the Ashanti region. We are here at the Asokwa constituency, where we will be touring some towns and electoral areas, including Chirapatre, Kuwait, Aprabo, Oti, Dompoase, Atonsu, among other areas, to find out from constituents what their major challenges are and what they also want government or the Member of Parliament for this constituency, Patricia Piaget, to look at. Join me, Ernestina Sawa Santi, as we find answers to these and many more. Now I am in the Kuwait, Aprabon and Oti electoral area, and I have with me two people that are going to share their thoughts on the sitting Member of Parliament's performance. Madam Honorable Patricia Piaget, the performance the same waha.
Oh, the performance na the wayebi. Ba nyani nyina na yebeka se waye. If it's a baller no amode ababe tumi ahate no. Baller no mo ma entontomo we yedodo. Omo bra mo chemical so mo fa ngutu mai chemical ne ehunu hwe. Eti ama entontomo na wi na we ye. Enti ate ndie ye ma we problem pa. Eti ane ne yesra ne tenko na omo baba beka. Na adu no motimi dia begutu na entontomo no to aye dai. Abla ase amaye. Eti wutu pie kura ba no num kura de kwa wuntimi ntina bontene. De to wura dem. Enti ade ba ko ha ye no no. E na ade ba ko to atan ha ye biemu no etoto mi yero nse. Ye ntuo tem no. Ho odin wa ha ten. So ko bi fie kana ko tan ntu a enam to wunni bie ni nti uyi so aban pipe ni nti wo na ko pe ntu a wo mpa man
wa ye kwan amaye ye light nso ya me ade ha me aye bola no bola nde yesre wo mo pa wo mo ye de mo se wo mo betu afranse still na eda so nti yesre ne se bola nde wo mo betu ase maye
ansa na obeto aba ne den na wo hwe wo nipa na obegina ni mu ansa wato ama no
oh me hwe na de a waye ne nkan kwa what mama okuro cry da atumpon we say first you better na kwa you better 22 years ni na kwa we edu ana pakra ntimi mfa ha emfuturo ne na edoto emfuturo ne na edoto nti na me adom 2024 2023 to 2024 wa ye kwa na ma ye kra ye nwa ye dai atoye ye light time de any problem tell me nua ba na kan
sisi ase ye maame apieje wo wode ono an ye beto ama no na wa kọ nanim o ni nyuma pa wa ye nti ene ye beto ama na me na kọ nanim.
So still on campaign trail on GhanaWeb TV, we are currently at Dompoase in Kumasi under Asokwa constituency. What you can see behind me is the Dompoase bus terminal, which was constructed by the governing New Patriotic Party under the leadership of Honorable Patricia Piaget, who ensured that this project was constructed up to speed. We are currently here and we'll speak to some constituents on her performance and what other developmental projects they expect to see here in the Asokwa constituency. Come with me.
Media mama past MP no dia me nko dia me hunu so sa. Adia me hunu so sa ne se station we no kura ye teye no ona ma station we ye nyina. Omo TB wo high school wo se penifo dia sojafo be gu kwa wo se omo nyina amla ba maame no ma ye ti ase se omo mu gina won de omo nyina ye na ne ni ba bi gina nti ye mra ha nti ye ba sa na ma obi a se tutu ni ka ko high school ho nti na station we na nyina no nti na mpi ne de me ankasa pa de me hunu na mpi boa wo de boa ye wa.
So Patrick said December elections then a influence your decision to vote for a candidate, either MP and as a presidential candidate.
Media, I'm Pinu, media, Mincham to Abamana, dear.
Me, Juma, or so I am Mimi who Juma Ben or Yawaha. Mimi who Juma Ben or Yawaha.
We better say why bus terminal, Senia Moti Muhasi.
Why, Kafrao, why Juma we come a effect. Neka be a Yajuma. Who never found 90 foam. Ebe janasu na umfa 90 vuma ene ne be yejuma wasi ya kama ye nyina enka se enye wo eye beda gu se ti aye jina ho e du yesu a ni afre ni akolodu agogo anta ne akọ aprabon aha de jina ho kwa nipa ba kokura ni ho ba hwe kaka wo ba hu ka o ka ni nyina askata ne di wu na ye MP wa ha wu na be force wa ha be jina na za untu mi force aha jina dia me hu duma be na o ye wa ha
nyama be na o be hwe na o de ato aba
me nipa me to aba ma no o mitim
oh puti ma dia why be batanya enough the why no yes ya what taking was kwa constituency no enya ho adwuma na wo so why no because ni follow the colleagues on more parliament bebre entwenu 8 years but who ko mo pesu aso a adwuma wo maye no is more than yeah now mo twa no because who ko 20 years
more expected then
we expect more because yes now I was spending more also more development than we no pesu aso because I spent more years our parliament so what me nya niam bebre ba mo pesu aso Osa kwa this way umama say ye be ko fana ayibia na no ma heda ko ibe ye gates ni ade no ma ye camouflage bi no o me so mu di biti ni page no but say ni page no ni ye crazy kura ni gina ma de wiabo amanana ne
mo MP ye mama part
ai ye ni pa ma patrusha piejei
ene onim
ahofedua papa bi oba na nim tie oba onim nyansa oba owa kukuduro ai ye dan no pa wa ya de chabatere man mu ha wa ma ya nya ekwan no fefefe na kane no na emfuturo nko a na e makas no kwentimi mfa kuro nim eso na darment se ya na artifact so wa de ase ti ma part ye da ase na emom de hia me pa kese ne se afiwe abato ye beto ama no na emom no o ma ya sika na ye so dwadifo so ye ntimi emfa nhye ye dwadiem na ye so yasene munye duru de ye challenge pa kese ne se ye nua mo NDC fo omo se afinke ye to abanama wo mo na so emom ye da kra ye nto because ye nim de ma part wa ya amaye mimi mom de since adubu ahen time na mensa we ento ma NDC biom na emom no omo bade ya ye de ye beje ye nyina sika na ye de ya
me de me hu se wase tunsuo e wo chapatere state no
apart from that then why
me de ni asotef no ko a wo ye na tunsuo no ko na me hu but if you kon de me hu hwe biom de
na street light
street light ni de tana o tana mu na me hu bi na adesen de street light ze bi ni musa
mama party de waya de na metiesie o continuation ho ensuo ta ka ma ho ene wagu ho ma ba bia e hu kota aya de ntimi de ono na meto ama no.
Our current location is the Ahinsan Township, where we are here to solicit for the views of some residents here on the performance of the Member of Parliament for Asokwa constituency, Patricia Apiaje. We also want to hear from them whether or not she has embarked on several developmental projects and the way forward on how to improve the conditions of living here at Ahinsan.
Mama, the metro ni say about one abaton. Ye here say no mum by mramaye. E no mum wode. I no mum wode pa. Nti ye pe de beto aba e no mo bagugwa amaye. Say ye di dwa betimi akon wano amaye. E say ye ti wo emu aye di nti ye ton ade kra enkoso ye nton ade. Ti ye hwese ye to aba ma we na no mum bagugwa amaye a. Eno ane ye hwehwe.
Ye na ha say no challenges when I move face na den am pese MP mama.
Oh ya hade ye de obi a ebo no homoden ye ukasa MP mayama wa enye ye chese we me kasa wo mayama me we nso bakasa be yama me nti ni nyina ne se wa wo bebo homoden se wo be ye wa ade a ebebo
nti nyama ben na we se MP aye wo ha say.
Oh MP de oye ne ye hu se ka kwan mi ya na wo mfutukwan mu ha me hu se afi we o ma ba ba ye kwan na amaye ti de ye hu se ono nso be ya na de no.
After touring some electoral area, we are currently at the Agogo North electoral area where we have the Kumasi South Hospital. We will take a look at some infrastructural development that has been embarked on in the health facility. But then we'll also speak to some people on the performance of the Member of Parliament here and also get to know some of their challenges.
Oh, my part, the performance, Agogo has any dear. They say, Metimaka say, ne penso betana so idea. Ye kwine street in idea. Why dear? Nemo Magogu Kwemwa, ye adwuma wo mu no. Wani amoye fa baby. Cause na station kese wa ha. Ana wayi kodom pass side honomo. E honomo so no anyina wa makoye ni amanyam. Ama maya tonto ade he say station ni kura yi mu adwuma nyina ya basa ya aban hospital na taxi for wa ha say because of ayalifo no na omahu omumobo ama begina ha say tinki ebesa ni say su factory honum da ho enwura na afu ho honum yi tinki on keka ne nsa say ni enhu ni mpanyimfo anko mebie station kakra man na se no obi bedidwa wa Agogo agisi okodom pass aprabon nya kofoka enye ɛna kuro na ankasa nso public toilet nim ɔne assemblyman ti sɛ fidikasi omuti yanka atonsu agogo omuni public toilet ensuo eni ha akoye individual na biebie ni nsuo na nkofo akototo nti kuro ni ekura yeso ti nadaroma ontwe na ni mehwe saa no mani nyina
as it means say election nyama wake omonye ya umbetiatia omwana
oh ono ni party ne de yensa anka de a ebetia no but de aka ne de enfanto
the performance na e wo form nti ama ekrofo bebe so meto skirt and blouse nti onye ha se toilet ni ha ha se ankasa so baby ayegu ball ni ha na ono so ye to ban man kwa yensa ehu no ye ehu no kosi se 4 years reverso nti
den na pese muhu wo ha se
ye pese ehu ni se onye mputu edwuma no omane onye nwum no omie bi edwuma ma youth fo no nya binye na okosusura se otimi kwa onhwe na aban no ukọ hospital se kakura do so bebele dodo insurance na nya hwe utwe sika saa nti wo de se nyame bọ na so otimi kwa ye bompa se ontimi enhwe no onka ni nyina amaye ne ye bele wonyem kula wo bebele saa ukwa ye sabe ji sika nyina na wo mo insurance no mo nhyemu kina na ntimi nya adwuma yi na enhwe ya ye wa hye Ghana ma na ye enhwe ye yi na ye bele
oh waye bi de me de mani hu ni se atonsu school mu wono mo park no waye na enyuma a ewo district ase waye bi and de ebetimi abona baso waye bi nipa de oya ade a sayeye pavement no yete so a dangerous pa ye pese ma part o ma ye ba bi tina na ye ton ade pavement no eno ne mi hawa ha me a me ka kire no si esre na ye pa na cho esre na ni die o ma ye ba bi a ebetimi adi dwane atimi dia ahwe ye ma na omu fefe ba no omu ko school no eno ne mi hawo.
Our guest is one of the women making strides in society. She was the first female mayor of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and currently the Member of Parliament for Asokwa constituency and doubles as the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament. Patricia Apiaje is our guest today on the show. Honorable, you're welcome.
Right, thank you.
How has your stay in Parliament been so far?
I'm just thinking about the question. Whether stay in Parliament means 12 years.
Yes, your 12 years stay.
Oh, just yes. I think it's been one of a checkered one. Initially, when I came to Parliament, it was a time where we were in opposition. And I must tell you, it wasn't an interesting experience at all. In the first place, you are not too happy that your party won, and then you become so disinterested in what happens in Parliament. You know, it doesn't give you the opportunity to do your best. And I, as a learner, which I must say the first timer, it was something that I feel I could have done things better than I did in Parliament. But I started having the feel of a good parliamentary period when we came back to power in 2016. 2016. Since that time, I have become very much engrossed with whatever is done in Parliament. I've always ensured that I attend my parliamentary duties, try to be present at all times, try to be present at my committee meetings. I've not actually taken my responsibility as a joke at all.
Okay.
Initially, I was one at from 2016 to 2020, I was the Deputy Environment Science and
Technology Minister.
And, Innovation, the Minister, Deputy Minister of State. If I find myself in the ministry, I make sure I do what it takes and ensure that my programs don't really clash with my parliamentary attendance. So I was performing both duties very well. I've actually enjoyed Parliament. My second term has been purely parliamentary activities.
Okay.
And I must say, it's also a totally different experience because it puts you at the forefront of either chairing a committee or ensuring that you attend your committee responsibilities to pass what is right, especially when we want to promote private members' bill. It has also given me the opportunity of looking at some issues which have not been tackled by the various sectors. And one of it is the spousal law.
Okay.
The spousal bill has been in Parliament over a long period of time, but each time it's presented on the floor, there are always flaws to ensure that it's set aside for a period and it outlives its mandate or the term in which the parliamentary term ends. So, in general, I must say that Parliament has been very interesting. I was not surprised at all why, by dint of faith and dint of what I should say, favor, the favor of God, I've also been given the position of a deputy
majority leader. All right, so sorry for the technical glitch, but then the conversation continues. So, Honorable, tell us, what were some of the challenges you faced and what has been some of the achievements so far?
The challenges I faced?
Yes.
In my political life?
Yes. Before you took over, what were some of the things they were facing?
I think initially, when I would say that my gender had always been brought to question by the men in politics. I quite remember somebody made an unsavory statement which attracted a number of women activists to condemn the statement that was made. You know, it used to be that women in politics were looked on like people who have a very bad lifestyle. And therefore, you find men making certain statements which were not acceptable. They feel by virtue of the fact that you are in politics or you are in a very favorable position, it means you have sold yourself sexually to a man to be in that position. It's something that is so outrageous. Currently, I don't think that people place that much emphasis. They realize that they will be attacked. The men will be attacked if they make such statement or allude your position to be one of being given the opportunity because of a relationship you have with a man. And it's rather unfortunate that we should be thinking that way. And I think people are growing. And people are beginning to accept that what men can do, women can do, and can even do better. And therefore, there are certain statements that people cannot make on the women who put themselves out for political leadership. Yes.
Okay, so on the constituency level, what has been some of the achievements too that you've chalked?
I think I'll say that it's by the grace of God that I'm in that position, but His grace and mercies are so abundant. But one thing I've been endowed with is my relationship with people. And then secondly, I see myself as a servant more than a master. Yes, that's one of the things. But in my political life, especially in Asukwa, one of the things that I feel very proud about is the fact that